So thank you both very much for joining this. My expectation is that by the end of this session, with some practice, but you'll have all the tools to go back and look at it, you will be able to actually read the Hebrew. So if you see all those squiggles on the page, no longer will you go, oh, what is that? You'll be able to actually read the words. Now, I can't promise that you'll understand any of them, but at least it will help in terms of things like names, because if you see a name in the Bible, it helps to be able to read the Hebrew to know how it's pronounced. It'll help if you go to a commentary, because quite often in the commentary they'll put the Hebrew, but you'll go, oh, that's the same word twice in a row. Whereas for years I didn't realize that they just didn't know what they were doing either. You know, it all looks so spectacularly, hard and what's the word, scholastic, all the things that I wasn't. And then when I learned to read some of it and began to understand some of it, suddenly it's really simple. Actually, if I can do it, anyone can, I promise. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the Hebrew, and I expect that you'll be able to actually read something at the end. We're going to look at the alphabet, we're going to look at the vowels, and then we're going to read a passage, and then I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. It's participative, that word, session. So I'm going to ask you to, when we come to the alphabet and various parts, I'm going to ask you to repeat it after me, if you will, so that we get some degree of practice in saying the sounds, and I'm hoping that you will find it valuable. And so we'll start with just an overview of the alphabet. As you can see from the first two letters, Aleph and Bet, it's where we get the word alphabet from. And so there are a couple of things that I'll point out as we go through. I'm not going to go necessarily through the whole alphabet letter by letter now. I'm going to point out where there are some things that we need to look out for as we read. The first one is that when I started to look at Hebrew, I thought that Aleph was the same as A, and so it would have a sound something like A, and it doesn't. The Aleph, which is this symbol that looks a bit like an X at the top of the page, and so when we look at this, we're looking at Aramaic letters. They're not Hebrew letters, they're Aramaic. The Hebrew is written in the Aramaic script, the same as English is written in a Roman script. And so the Aleph, and then if you come to the second letter in the second column, the Ayin, both of those have the same sound. They take on the sound of the vowel, but if you were to say them by themselves, it would just sound like So it's the sound that comes before whatever vowel you're going to say. The next thing that I'd like to look at is, you'll notice that under the second letter, you've got Bet, which with no dot in the middle is pronounced like a V, so V. And with the dot in the middle, it's pronounced like a B, so B. So these dots in certain letters mean that there's a different pronunciation on that particular letter. Now, the ones that have got a different pronunciation, I've highlighted on this page. So the first one is the Bet. The second one is down here about a little over halfway, and it's the Kaf, and it's pronounced if it's got no dot or dagesh, and it's pronounced like a K, K, if it's got the dot in the middle. The next one that I'll mention is the Pei, and without the dot, it's pronounced like an F in English, that F first sound, F. And with the dot, it's pronounced like a P, P in English. And so they're the three that we need to be aware of. Almost any letter, there are some exceptions, but almost any letter can have a dagesh, a dot in the middle, but none of the others change their pronunciation when they have that dot. So it's really important to just remember those three, because all the others, even if they have a dagesh, they're still pronounced the same way. Okay, then the next thing that we'll look at are letters that have a different ending at the end of the word than they do at the beginning or in the middle of a word. We've got the kaf, which is a k or a sound. Most usually it'll have another little dot in here, and it'll be a k on the end of a word rather than a ch. So the next one is the mem, so second from the bottom, and at the end of the word it has this thing that looks a little bit almost like a square with a half semicircle on the right hand top, and so it's pronounced like an M in both cases, but at the end of the word you'll only see this letter, not the other one that's open. The next one is the one it's called a nun, and it's like our N, and in the beginning or the middle of a word, it's got this almost like a closed bracket on the right hand side, but at the end of the word, it's just a straight line that goes down under the line. So if you can see that little red dot would go through it. It doesn't sit on the line. Now, if we come back up here to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th letter, the vav, it sits on the line. And it can be at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the word. The vav is probably one of the most common letters in Hebrew. It's at the beginning of more words than you could imagine, and it's a word on itself, usually meaning and, but it can mean but or therefore or all sorts of other things. So in addition to just being a letter, it's pretty much the word and. So the nun safit, or the nun at the end of the word, and the vav can look quite similar, but the thing to remember is the nun safit goes below the line, continues down. Again, the pay has a safit ending, so it's a ph sound at the end of the word, a f, and it looks like this. Instead of circling under, it goes down straight. And the tzadeh does something similar. Now, a tzadeh is pronounced like a letter we don't have in English, and at the end of the word it's pronounced exactly the same way, but it looks different. This straightens out and goes down below the line. So with the exception of the mem, all of the safit letters go down under the line. So the kaf, the nun, the pay, and the tzadeh. So they just dip down below the other letters a little bit. And then finally, we've got two letters that sort of look the same. And the way to tell the difference is where the little dot is on the top. If the dot's on the right-hand side, it's pronounced like SH in Sydney. Well, most people in Sydney anyway. I was going to say in English actually, but it's the sh sound. If it's on the left side, it's much more like an S, and it's called a sin. So it's called a shin when it's on the right. It's called a sin when it's on the left. And the way I remember that it's a sin is because sin is never right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, that helped me a lot. That was my first Hebrew lesson, and one of the first things that I remembered without having to go back to the book. So I think we covered this, the dagesh, or a dot in the middle, other than those letters that we specifically looked at, doesn't change the pronunciation. And a dagesh in most cases, other than the ones we discussed, it's like doubling the letter, but you don't really notice very much. Except, I will say, with a sadeh, if a sadeh has got a dagesh in it, you pronounce it twice. So it's like two of them. That would be the only thing. So right now we go into our first practical. And here we go. The first 5 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And we've got Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. We'll do them one at a time. So the Aleph is pronounced and if you would, that's it. So it takes on whatever the vowel is. Without the dot, the Bet is pronounced V.
Okay.
V, like a V. V. And then with the dot, it's pronounced B, like a B.
B.
A Gimel with or without a dot is pronounced like a G, G.
Good.
And a Dalet with or without a dot is pronounced the same as a D, D.
Duh. Okay.
And a Hey doesn't actually take a Dagesh. It's one of those exceptions, and it's always pronounced H, H. And very often at the end of a word, so it's just like breathing it out. And so here's a couple of examples. The first one, the underline there under the Aleph is the vowel, and that underline looking thing is always pronounced ah. So who would like to have a go at that word?
Is that be va? No?
Very close. Of. So you've got of. So it's the with the So and then the bet with sounding like a V. So it's of.
Oh.
Of. Oh, sorry. You go from right to left.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my question. Because
No. I'm so sorry. You go from right to left, not left to right. I made the assumption that everybody remembered that or knew that, and I do apologize. So we're going from right to left. The next one, another simple one.
That's too hard.
No, same vowel, so that's an
I'll get that.
So we go from right to left. So you've got down here, can you see the little red thing that I'm circling the letter?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So
yeah, now I can.
Yes. Yes. So you've got the Dalet, which is Dalet's a door actually. So D, and then you've got the vowel, which is the da, and then you've got the Gimel, which is a G.
Doug.
Doug, exactly right. Just sounds like the man's name. And I'm going to make you feel really good now because here's the 2 meanings. So of is the word for father. So when Jesus said the word Abba, that is the Aleph with the bet with the dot in the middle. So it changes it from the V to the B, and then another Aleph at the end and another A sound. So Abba is the same word basically. Of, Abba. And then Doug is the word for fish.
Okay.
And so here we go for the second page. This one sits on the line, and it's not like an L. It doesn't go above it. It's the same height as the other letters, and it's pronounced V. V.
Okay.
Yeah, so V. And then this is just like our Z, Z. And then this is a het, and it's pronounced like K with a number of H's under you, just a growling sound. That's it, beautiful. That was done very well, Ivana.
Oh, thanks. I'm trying to follow.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, eh?
Yeah, and then the tet is pronounced just like a T, so T.
T.
And in a lot of the fonts, this yod looks a bit more like an apostrophe. So here it's way above the line. It's only half the height of the other letters, as you can see, and it sits up like an apostrophe, and it is pronounced the way we'd pronounce a Y. So y, or at the end of the word, if there was a vowel, say it was an A, it'd be A, or A. So we'll go more into that, but it's Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got the cuff with the dagesh, it's K,
K. Yeah.
and without the dagesh, it's pronounced exactly the same as the chet. Ch.
K.
Yeah, ch. And the same with the cuff at the end of the word. It more normally it will have two little dots in there, and it'll be pronounced K. So without the dots, it's technically, but I can't think of a word that's even got the at the end. But usually it's K. And so here's another practice. Now here we've got the sound with a yod, and so it becomes I. It's like a diphthong. That's it. And then we've got the het. So chai.
Oh, can you repeat that one, Jim, please?
Chai.
Chai.
Chai. Beautiful. And then this one here, chat. Chat. The hardest thing about Hebrew you're doing right now, and it's doing that growling, throaty sound. Chat. Chat.
Chat.
And these two words, the first one is life. So when Genesis talks about the creeping things on the ground, chaim, that's the plural, life. And chat is tusk, as in the tusk of an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go on to the next one. And so a lamed is the same as our L. So when you see this squiggly thing here, that's a L sound.
Mm.
And then the same as an M, both of these exactly the same.
Mm.
And then the N, again, the pronunciation is the same. N.
Mm.
And then a samek, it doesn't always look exactly like an O. Sometimes it's got a little funny thing up here, but it's always pronounced the same as an S. But when it's transliterated, it's usually written as a C in English. So,
okay.
And then the iron, like the aleph, is Okay, and here's a couple of words. And okay, I'm going to introduce you to a new vowel. So the vav, when you get a dot on the left-hand side of it, is u.
Okay.
U. So we've got. Anyone want to have a go? Going from right to left. They're on this page.
Is that a O?
Yes, that's how it starts. L.
Lo. That's
Lo.
O.
Yes. And then
the last one.
That's right. So put them together.
Lun.
Lun. That's exactly right. Look, you're already reading the Hebrew, Leanne.
Lun.
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 Lun. Here's the next one. Same vowel. I tried to make it as easy as possible for you. So the same U sound.
Is it sum?
Exactly correct. Sum. Sum. And they're both verbs. The first one to spend the night, the second one to put.
Okay.
So if you spent the night in a lodge or something, so that's where you get that. Or spent the night in the desert, which is more likely in the Bible. And here we go now. The last page of the alphabet. So with the dot in the middle, we've got P. Without the dot, we've got F, like an F.
Yeah.
And at the end, usually a F. And then the tsare is always like a T and an S together. Tss, And if it does have the dot, which we're not going to do any words with it today, but it would be tss, tss. So you'd say it twice. Tss, tss. Nice sound, isn't it? You know, one letter, nice sound. And here we go. This one is the easiest one to remember because it's just like the English going backwards. And given that the word goes backwards anyway, it sort of looks like an R, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a r, r, r. And then this one is with the dot on the right, sh. And this one is with the dot on the left. It's a sin because sin is never right, pronounced s, like a snake. S, s. So you pronounce it the same as the sade. And then the final letter is a tav, and it's pronounced t. But when it's transliterated into the English, it is written, except at the beginning of a word, with a th. In the beginning of a word, it's transliterated with a t, but in the middle, it's always, or at the end, it's always got a th. So if you think of English names like Nathan, that is the word Natan in Hebrew. The th is actually a tav, and it would be Natan in Hebrew. And then if we think of Bethlehem, in Hebrew, that is Beit Lechem, house of bread. Beit Lechem, again, at the end of that word, it is the tav. And so here are two words to practice, and I'm introducing yet another vowel, and we're going to go to vowels in a moment.
What are the three dots underneath?
Now that's an eh.
Eh. Okay.
Eh. How are you finding it?
The Hebrew.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to learn it all, but
Oh, you don't have to. The beauty is you just have the reminder here. It's been, I think I started in 2007, Leanne. It's 14 years of study for me, including 5 years with e-teacher and accredited with the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So, you know, I'm not expecting that everyone will suddenly be translating the Bible tomorrow. We're all there. I've now lost Leanne. Where are you, Leanne?
I'm here.
Here are a couple of words. Now, the first one here, so the aleph, now the three dots is an eh sound. That's a new vowel for you. We're going to look at vowels in just a minute, but that is an eh sound. So we've got eh and then two letters that are on this page. So the back to front are. Anyone want to have a go?
It's an E.
Yeah, air. So, Eretz, that's correct. It's Eretz. Eretz. Beautiful. Beautiful. And the next one? Now, this is another vowel. So this is not a V sound. It's another vowel. And when the vav has a dot on top of it, it's pronounced O.
Okay.
A little bit like O with a W at the end. O.
Rosh.
That's it, Rosh. The vav is a funny letter because if you've got a dot on the vav, so where I said before it was U, if it's got a letter under it, or it doesn't usually have a letter above it, but let's say it has an A sound under it, it's then pronounced with like a V still. So it's probably getting complex, but I think that you'll get the idea as we go through. So that's right, that's Rosh. The first one, Eretz, is earth, and the next one, Rosh, is head or top. And now we come to the vowels. So we're going to go through them all quickly first. I'm just going to do an explanation and then we'll go in a little bit more detail. The first one we'll look at are these two dots that are on top of each other that look like a colon under the letter. So the sound here, it's called a shavar, but it's either or it can be silent. So it could be, let's say that this was a resh with an sound. It could be rub, and then it usually have something else, but it's just no sound. When it's got the dot in it, it's almost always so b. So that's an sound. Then all of these three here, the tetras symbol, the underline, and the underline with the colon thing next to it, they all have the same sound for the sake of this exercise, which is ah. And then when you add the yod next to it, it takes on the diphthong, which is I. So like I. So we've got, we'll go back to it in a minute. And then we saw the three dots before. With the two dots, it's the same. And the three dots with a colon next to it, they're all eh. And then with the yod, it becomes bay. So it's like bay, with a yod in there, bay. And the same thing, here we've got an I sound, bi or b. And then bo, and then we'll come back to these here, but it looks like the kamat sound. It looks like it should be and it's an exception, which is why I've got it in blue, but it's bo and bo. So they're the hardest two, but they don't happen very often. You'll be very pleased to know. And finally, the three dots sloping from left to right downwards is bu, and then the vav with the dot next to it we've done before, u. And so now our time to practice has come, and we have b. So with me, b. So the vowel goes under the letter or just over the letter to the left-hand side, or if it's the vav with, it goes next to it becomes the next letter. But here we see them under the letter, and all of these are the same. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, black sheep. Not quite. Ba, ba, ba. And then finally, we've got by, and then this one would be vi, because I left out the dot. So by and vi. Okay, so the tetras, the underline, and the underline with the colon, ba, and the colon by itself, b, or if it's got another sound before it, it must be the end of the sound and it's silent. You just pronounce the consonant. And then the same as with the sound, the three dots, the two dots, and the three dots with the colon, be, be, be. Be, be, be. And then be, 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 be. And then with, this is called a hirik. It's an I sound, bi. And then B with the yod, B.
Yeah. So B and B.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, B and B. And here we have the O sound. So we've got bo and bo.
Bo and bo.
And then we've got with this Tetris looking thing, and before a closed syllable, it's bow. And so here's an example. So this, I'm not going to expect you to remember these, so I'm going to do it for you. So here we've got This is the closed symbol. See that it's got the colon under, so you wouldn't pronounce that. That would be more. More do kai.
Ah,
More do kai. So it's the person's name, Esther's uncle.
yes.
So that's how you'd write his name. More do kai. In fact, it's probably Mordechai. Mordechai. And then this one here, you've got the vav, so v, but underneath you've got the underline a sound, and the yod, so that makes it vi. And then you've got the tetra sound, which is actually the ya. So here you've got vi, ya, and the closed sound is the end of the word com. Viacom. Viacom. You want to say that for me? Viacom.
Viacom.
And he got up. That's what it means.
Okay.
And then here's another example. And in both these examples, they're names, and they both have both exceptions in the same word. So this one, Mordechai, and this one, we've got the closed symbol here. So that is actually no, o, me, no, omi.
So Naomi.
No, omi. Now,
No,
we actually have the name. What name do you think that is in English?
Naomi.
That's right. And the reason we have Naomi is because of a mispronunciation, even by most Jews today, and they say Naomi, but it should be Naomi, Naomi.
Naomi.
And then this is another one here. So we've got the tzadei, sip, closed symbol. So we don't need to worry about that though this time. It's a closed, but so it's sip, and then this symbol here is this one here. O siporim. Siporim.
Siporim.
Siporim. And it means birds. Birds. Siporim. Sipor is bird. But it'd probably be written a little differently. But siporim, like that's birds. And then the final one, we've got bu, with the three dots going sloping away as you go from left to right. Bu and boo. Okay. Then I've just got one more thing that we'll look at, because it will come up. We're not going to get tested on it today, you'll be pleased to know. But when there's a vowel under the last letter of a word, and that letter is a hey or a het, then it changes the way we pronounce it. So here's the first example. So if we did it the way we're doing everything else, we'd say rucha, but that's not the way it is at all. When we see it under the het, we go ruach. So ruach, and that's the word for spirit, as in the Holy Spirit. So ruach kodesh would be Holy Spirit. Ruach. Ruach. You've got that. Ruach. You've got that. That's it. Yep. Ruach on the end. And then this is the normal way. Macha. Yeah, so see, we've got the hey on the end. It's just like breathing it out. Macha. And that means he blotted out. But when you get it like this, and this one is teruah. It's not ha on the end, it's ah. So teruah. So not ha, but ah.
Okay.
So this is ha, but this is ruah. There's no h there. It's at the h is after the vowel, so you don't hear it.
Wow.
And if you've been in a sermon where they've said, now I want you to give a victory shout to the Lord, in the Bible, that's the word teruah.
Teruah. Okay.
Teruah. It's a shout of victory.
Mm.
And so right now is the time for our shout of victory as we get to the time where you have the opportunity to read a whole verse of the Bible by
Oh.
yourself.
Oh, no.
Yes, you'll
No.
find out how easy it is. Remember, we're going from right to left, and all the letters are up here so that you can see how they're pronounced. And I'm going to help. All the vowels are over here. So the first one here, if you see the red pointer is up the top there. So we've got the bet with a shava that's not silent under it. So what have we got there?
It's too hard.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Try it. It's really easy. I'm going to help.
I think the letters are too small
Yeah,
for me to see.
it'd be very hard on the phone, I could imagine.
I'm on my iPad, but it's a bit difficult to see. So I'll just let you tell me what they are.
No, you got to have a try.
Yeah, but
Come-
I can't actually see them properly.
Let me see if I can. I know what we'll do. We'll go back. There we go. You saw that before.
So is that boo? Boo? Ba?
B. That's exactly right. See, there you are. You've done the first word in the Bible by yourself.
Ba.
B.
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 And then this.
Brr.
That's right, with an S sound. B-re. And sin is never right, so it's on the right. So what's that?
Don't know.
Well, was either a s or a sh, wasn't it? And if it's on the left, that's right. That's right. So you've got be, sh, and that's an E sound with a T on the end. Bereshit.
Bereshit.
Okay, and I'll. Bereshit. And now we come to the second word, and it's the same letter again, with the tetra sound. No catches though, so it's just like the underline. So what's that one?
Is it a b or is it a bar?
Yes. Yeah, it's a bar.
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 Because there's no dots.
That's right.
Bar. Okay.
Bar.
Is that ra? Ra?
Yeah, bara. That's it.
Bara.
So you've got Bereshit bara.
Ra.
And now this one is the E sound you'll remember, and you've got the aleph, so that's easy. So it's just the E sound. Eh.
Yeah.
And then this one, do you remember this squiggly one was the same as
Z? Was it?
L?
L.
Yeah, the same as an L. So that's right, L, and this one's the O, the whole M. L-O. Have a get. That's it. Look at that. L-O.
Elohim.
Hey, him, M on there, Yod, Elohim. So now we've got Bereshit bara Elohim. And then the same sound, not quite the same letter, but the same sound.
L.
Yeah, but it's the tav, the last letter. Remember we were talking about Natan. So it's et. Et.
Okay.
Et. And then this one here is the hey. So you've got that here as well. Elohim. So what's that? With the underline, which is an A. So you've got. That's it. Ha. That's right. Ha, and then you've had this one before as well. Remember, it doesn't change. The dot means nothing. So it's exactly the same as this one. This one's Bereshit ha.
Is that a sh?
That's right.
Yeah.
With the tetras underneath makes it
S.
No. You're right. It's a sh. It's a ha. That's the vowel. Remember. So that's the sound. Ha, sha.
Sha.
And both of these are exactly the same as at the end of Elohim. Hasham.
Hasham.
And the with the yod I. Hashamai. And the same as Elohim. Just put it all together.
Hashamayim.
That's it. Hashamayim.
Hashamayim. Okay.
And then this is just a vav by itself, meaning and. So and then the same word is here, exactly the same.
L.
Close. Et. Remember, that's the tav. Et. The L is this one here in Elohim. So
okay.
If you look at the lamed, the L up the top of the lamed, it's actually got an L. See where my little red thing is going?
Yeah.
It's got an L at the top, and then it's got a squiggle down the bottom. So an L above the line and a squiggle down the bottom. That's your L.
Okay.
And so the et, and then we've got there's the same as here. Remember that was ha shamayim, ve'et.
Is that ha?
That's right, and you got this word before.
I can't remember.
The three letters is an et sound.
Et.
And et's at the end is right, so you've got that's eretz. Eretz. So if you want to say it with me, Bereshit.
Bereshit.
Bara.
Elohim.
Et ha-shemayim.
Et ha-shemayim.
Ve'et ha-eretz.
Ha-eretz. What does it mean?
It means in or we usually translate it the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth. This et is non-translatable. It says that you've got a direct definite object coming up.
Okay. So
the word the the is the ha. So the b is the very first letter. That means in and Rashid beginning, and then Elohim is the subject. Bara, he created, so God created. Et, we're coming up for what he created. Ha, the, Shemayim, heavens or skies, same word.
Yeah.
The, and, coming up for another object. The, ha, eretz, the earth or ground.
Okay. Cool.
Seriously, I've given you enough ammunition that if you applied it all, you could work out any word in Hebrew pretty much.
Okay. Can you email that to us?
Be delighted to.
Thanks.
And that way you'll have all the vowels. And if somebody had done this for me, I probably would have never studied, because at least I would have known how to sound the words out. I've done 1 year of Greek, but I've done 5 years of Hebrew. It was too hard. I couldn't understand it.
I know. That's what they said at my Bible college, that Greek is easier than Hebrew.
Well, I certainly found Greek easier than Hebrew, but then the oldest existing manuscripts are probably Greek, even of the Old Testament. Well, that's not exactly true.
So, just a question.
The-
You know how Jesus sometimes spoke Aramaic?
Yes.
Is that a variant of Hebrew
No, that's another language.
altogether?
Hebrew is primarily written in Aramaic,
Right.
and when they went into exile in Babylon, that Aramaic was the language that the Babylonians spoke. So they
Right.
learnt to write the Babylonian letters, which is Aramaic. So
Yeah.
what we're reading, did you have a look at the other video that I did that talks about the history of the language?
No, I don't think so.
I'll send you.
I was part of your first one.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's
Yes.
that. In that one, we actually discussed it, but I did so much in an hour. It doesn't matter. I do tend to fit in a little bit more in an hour than, this would be 6 months course.
Yeah.
But the Aramaic is a different language, and parts of Daniel are actually written in Aramaic, and
Right.
and the major, or one of the major differences is that a lot of the words are the same, but where we've got here ha eretz, in Aramaic it would be eretza. It'd be an aleph with an a vowel under the aleph. So the definite article goes at the end of the word instead of at the beginning of the word.
Okay.
That's one of the major differences. Most of the words, though, are pretty similar.
Right.
So they're two different languages, though.
Yeah. Okay. I think, got to get to learn one before the other, I suppose.
I guess the thing that I've come to love about the Hebrew is that the Old Testament was the only scripture that the church, the Christian church, had for 300 years. I mean, they had some letters and they had some other things, but they weren't scripture. If they couldn't explain it from the Old Testament, it wasn't scripture.
Yeah.
And we've tended to side a lot, I think, with some of the heretics, actually, of the first few centuries, that said, do away with the Old Testament. We only need the letters in the New. And that's just not the way that it should have been. So I read the Old Testament looking for how it points to Jesus. And that's what the early church would have had to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because all the prophecies in the Old Testament point to Jesus. So you can't do away with the Old Testament.
No.
And even the book of Daniel talk the same. So Daniel and Revelation, I think, are books that are similar.
Yeah.
Because of the prophecies in both. So.
Yeah, and so you've got all those things to consider. Well, we've really covered everything that I was hoping to cover. If you've got any more questions, please flick through in an email, or we can do it on Facebook or whatever. Yeah. But thank you so much. I don't know if you're still there, Ivana. Are you still there? Well, thank you so much if you can hear, and I hope you've both found it useful and really appreciated you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for teaching it.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Have a lovely night.
Yep, you too.
Okay. Thanks,
See you
Leah.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.